Welcome.
Alright, so I've written down some notes of stuff you could improve on.
Ready for battle.
Alright, so, I'm gonna speed it up to when the attack starts. Alright, so that is a good source, fire striking right then and there. But I would wait, like, fire striking in the beginning is good, but I would wait to fire strike when they're more, like, in line. See, now right there. It was a good idea, but try not to make a habit of just pinning into their entire team, because once you get to the higher ranks, you're gonna have Reinhardts and, like, a lot of McCrees in your game who are just gonna stun you, and then you would just be feeding. Zarya is behind, and your DPS do a good job of killing the overextended Zarya. It's a good pick onto the soldier. Soldier is though a fast-paced DPS. You are though down your DPS, and what I do notice here is that you push up into them, and right there, if we back up. So you're right here, okay? You're right here. The rest of your team is back here. And you're right there alone, pretty much with your Zarya. And since you do get a good shatter off, the unfortunate thing that you do is you immediately, like, you shatter, then you immediately pin in. That's something you don't want to do. Unless, like, it's a short angle pin, where you can pin, and then, like, immediately, like, hit something, so that, like, you don't have to overextend like you just did right there. And because you did that, the enemy team now has a free push, because they're down the main tank. And that's exactly what they do. They do use a lot of ults. Something that you do want to do when you shatter is you want to shatter, go up to a squishy, you want to swing to hit them, and then fire strike immediately. And that should be just like an easy pick off of a squishy.
Is ready to deploy.
They do take point, which is unfortunate. You see now right here. It's a decent idea, but I would rather you play with your team. Because, like, they all push you in there. If they just all push in there. And I know that, like, you had a Lucio and there was a Reaper there, but I would rather you play with your team, because Ryan's priority is to make space and to protect his team. And instead of backing up, you just pin in and you try to flank. In the higher rank games like Platinum and Diamond, the soldier would just immediately turn around. And see right there, you just immediately pin in. If you had jump pinned, you could have pinned the Reinhardt to get, like, a quick pick on him. Because if you pin a Reinhardt, and then you swing and fire strike him, you can get the pick on him 90% of the time. Something that I do notice you do a lot, you just pin. A good, like, thing to do, a good habit to get into Rhine is jump pinning. It's good for picking up, off people that you think are too far to the right or too far to the left. Jump pinning will help you pick them off easier. And, like, look where, okay, let's back up a bit. Let's back up a bit.
Nothing's gonna stop.
Let's take a look at where you are, okay? You're here with both of your supports, which is what you're supposed to do. But then, you try to go for the Ryan pin, not a bad idea, but then you're over here, away from your team, and like your supports are now exposed to a Widowmaker. And any Widowmaker that's like any Widowmaker that's confident in playing Widowmaker in comp will get the picks on your supports if they're exposed like this. You have a Genji who's half health, and a Zarya who just used bubble. But because you're flanking, trying to go for a soldier who just ulted, you're now without your team. And because of that, your Ana gets picked off, and your soldier and your Lucio gets picked off. You do get the pin on the Rhine, which is good. And it did work, but try to flank less and play with your team more. I may say this a lot, but like flanking as Rhine isn't always the play. It's better to protect your team than to go for a risky flank pin on the chance of getting a pick. See, now what I would have done here, this is where you are. This is where your Zarya is. Instead of pinning in, which is what I would have done like half the time, but since my team is up here and their entire team is there, I wouldn't have pinned. What I would have done was shield hop, where you jump, shield, jump, shield, jump, shield. You probably already know what it is, but it's faster than just shielding and walking. It's good for disengaging and re-engaging into fights. Alright, so now, this is what I saw. You seem to struggle to hit the Rhine. Can you tell me, is your sensitivity too high, or is it too low? Because, if we go back, this Rhine should have been an easy pick-off for you. Also, in fights, if you're ever disengaging from a fight, shield, so that you don't give the enemies ult charge. And now watch me. If instead of walking towards the Rhine, if you were jumping, you would have been able to reach him. And the Rhine gets an easy pin. What is your sensitivity? Can you tell me that? I would like to know what your sensitivity is. Your Ana does keep up your Zarya, which is good, which means you do have competent healers. And I just restarted. Oh boy. That's not good. Alright, we're back to where we were. Um, 30-15. Oh boy. Oh boy. That is not even close to what I play on Rhine. I play 100-100. Like, basic advanced settings, but I play on 100-100. It's gonna take a little getting used to if you want to use those. But I do play on those so that, like, I can swing around, and if there's a Rhine in front of me, I can just keep my joystick still. See, now, I thought that it would be the same way. You say it's weird. I thought the same way. But I changed my sensitivity Like, and, like, it took time getting used to it, but, like, it takes time to adapt to, like, different sensitivities, and that's sometimes what you have to do. Your Genji does pretty much save this fight by popping off. You are coming back. Now, something that I would tell you to keep in mind is enemy
60
ults.
seconds remaining.
And I believe that the reason you won this, first off, is because they're down a DPS. Like, it's a 5v6 right now. It's a 5v6 right now. Good shatter, but once again, you pin right into them. It's fine for right there, but I just don't want it. I just don't want you to be in the habit of constantly shattering, then immediately pinning. It's better... Here's an idea, okay? Here's an idea. I'm gonna back up to when you shatter. I'm gonna back up to when you shatter. We're gonna speed up the time until you get there. Okay, you get grabbed. Alright, so we're gonna take a look at this from bird's eye view. Alright, so... Alright, so, you get a good shatter off. See, now, something you can do, you start walking forward, then you shatter, you go in behind the enemy Rhine, or a tank, and what you do is, since the Zarya is shattered, what you could do is, you could go in behind her, and then pin her towards where your team is, so that even if you don't kill her with the pin, you get the guaranteed pick, because your team can pick her off. See, now, by now, you should realize that the enemy Rhine hasn't used Shatter, like, at all. So, you should have in mind that, the enemy team does have Shatter. You do hold at their spawn.
Triple kill.
So, what I am now realizing, though, is that you are playing on open queue, which I did not realize.
10 seconds.
Good pick onto the Sombra. I like the idea of you shattering in their spawn. I like the idea. Yeah, see, like, right there. Right there, that was perfect on how to do the swing strike. That was the perfect way to do it. A lot of the times, though, when you tried doing it, you ended up swinging, but the hit did not register. So, swing until you hear the sound or feel your controller vibrate if you play with vibration. Swing until you hear it vibrate or the sound, and then fire strike. That's a 175 damage right there. 175 damage. Enough to one-shot a Tracer, and enough to nearly kill, a Squishy. That's why it's always good to, if you shatter a Squishy, like an Ana, you shatter, swing, fire strike. Boom, Ana's dead already. And what I do realize in this game is that you did give me a replay code where it was a 5v6 and now it's a 4v6.
One. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Alright, so you see they have a Junkrat. First thing you don't want to... Something you don't want to do, you never want to go into an enclosed space up against Junkrat. I don't know if you were in comms with your team, but something... Your job as Ryan is callouts. Okay, right here, this is a terrible idea. This is a horrible, horrible idea. Because you just did that, you are not only, like, inting, but you are also feeding them. You are also feeding the Tracer, and the Junkrat, and the Roadhog ult charge. Because the Roadhog can heal all the health back, the Junkrat is already halfway to tire, and the Tracer is just gonna get Pulse Bomb very fast. And because you did that, this fight is now no longer winnable. It is now a 5v5, but on this map, a 5v5 is still not that good. Your Zarya is still pushing up, which is something that you should be in comms with. You should be saying, disengage, disengage until I come back. Something you want to do, you want to try and preemptively strike where you think the tire is going to be. Like, try and be in callouts with your team saying, oh, call out saying, where's Junkrat? And then you can preemptively strike where they call him out. And then, yeah, you say it was you and the Zarya, but the problem is, though, the Zarya and the Reaper weren't with you. You just pinned... The problem is, the Reaper and the Zarya were going the long way. And because of that, you just pinned into their team, and you were just alone there. By the time the Zarya and the Reaper had come around, you were already, like, low health and pretty much going to die.
Stop the payload.
Only got a whole day of shooting ahead of me.
Do I want another where there aren't levers? Well, with this game, I think that since it's a 5v6 now, it's easier to coach, but it's just honestly, it's overall easier to coach games where there are losses. And right here, this is something you do not want to do. You are down a DPS, it is now a 5v5, and you and the Reaper are flanking. This is something you really don't want to do, even if you have Shatter. Your idea here is to flank Shatter. It's a decent idea, but there's really no need to flank Shatter because they don't have a shield. If they don't have a shield, you can just Shatter right in front of them, and there's nothing they can do. Now, if we back up and I watch you, what I'm gonna watch is you missing the swing fire strike.
This will help.
You do get booped up, and then watch. You get a no reg. The swing did not go through. You do get the pick with the fire strike, but something I do want you to practice is just the swing fire strike. You practice the swing fire strike, and you can like get easy like squishy pickoffs, easy squishy picks, no problem. Your Genji does pop off quite a bit this game, so good for him. Okay, I want to take a look at something. What I want to take a look at is the Bastion is right in front of you, and also right there. If you had jump pinned, you could have gotten closer to the Mercy and picked her off sooner. Alright, so, also something I want you to get in the habit of, constantly checking to see if the enemy team has made swaps. Because if you do, you can get a better knowledge. Alright, so we're gonna take a look at your shield, okay? Your shield is 505. You could have... Something you could have done, you could have shield flashed to get closer. Or you could have honestly just, like, walked closer until your shield was near broken, and then pinned. You wouldn't have taken nearly half as much damage as you did right here. And I know it may not seem like that important. Do you want... what's that? Okay. So, shield hopping. After this game, I'll go over, the things I've gone through, and then I'll show you what shield hopping is. Okay. So... The Bastion is back. What you should be doing instead of, just going around, you should be right by the door, just body blocking him and shielding him off. Alright. So, right there. The flash thing, yes. I think that's what you're talking about. Okay. So, what you should go through, try flanking less, because if you try to flank shatter up against 0 shield, there's really no point. All you're really doing is just exposing your team. Try to, like, understand when the, enemy team makes swaps. And, jump pinning. Jump pinning is a very good, thing to use, and it's a really good thing to, use a lot. Because, also, this is what shield hopping is. So this is how, let me load it. This is how fast you move regularly. This is how fast you move with shield hopping. And also, this is regular pinning, but it takes a while and you're very exposed. Like, if you jump pin, you can see he's right there, you swing, you fire strike, but then you jump pin around a corner, and you get the pick faster. Now, you may not think that, like, flashing your shield isn't that good, but, like, this is pretty slow for disengaging, even with, like, the buffed movement speed, but this is a lot faster, especially if you're in a team fight and your shield is low. You go by faster, and like, your shield will keep you alive more often than not. If you shield hop this way, you go by faster, and it's also pretty good because, like, another thing is, this is how you want to bait out Rhine shatters. You want to, like, hit and then shield, hit, shield, hit, shield. And when you do that, you have, like, a much better chance of, like, baiting out shatters. And more often than not, Reinhardt's will try to, like, time it, and then just, like, this one time, you can just swing your hammer around. And then, as soon as and then you just immediately shield, and more often than not, he will shatter. So, also another thing, when you shatter, don't pin. Try to, like, go right up to them, go like this, and boom, there's a squishy. There's a 200 health squishy. Dead, right there. It's much better than shattering from a distance, and then pinning into their entire team. It's just better. Okay. Now, imagine this tracer. Now, imagine that this is a shattered Rhine, okay? Watch, I'm gonna swap him to Rhine. Okay. This is your team. This is a shattered Reinhardt. You go in behind him, you jump pin, and you pin him into your team. And just like that, the Reinhardt will die, and the enemy team will be without their main tank, their space creator. And then your team can just push up, no problem, and that'll be either the point, the payload moving, the payload stopped. It could honestly just be, like, watch. You go like this, you shatter, you go like this. And there's the Rhine dead. And, yeah, that's about all I could really see. You had good shield management there. Just, even in, like, 5v6s, try not to, like, overextend. And if you are, like, planning on pushing up, wait until your Zarya and Reaper are, like, there and ready. That's about it. I'm glad I could help coach you, and hopefully my coaching does help you. Like, hopefully you rank up, hopefully my tips will help you, and, yeah, that's about it.